俺の魂に触れるか。福間水す。もっと乗るよ。部をわきまえろ。知れ者が女も子供も宇治のように湧いている。素晴らしい王札だ。
These are just a few claims Sukuna declares in Jujutsu Kaisen as king. Not the king of curses, the king of everything. His dominion is the planet itself. Everyone that resides within it should bow down to him due to his superior understanding of true jujutsu and overwhelming power. All he gives a shit about is only standing on top of everyone else. Even asking Gojo why is the hierarchy of the jujutsu society not based on ability, as he is the true king of the world. It's clear that Sukuna also honed his technique to perfection during the Heian era, as well as during the 1,000 years he existed as a cursed object. But obviously, this begs the question, why did Sukuna become evil? How did Sukuna become the king? Why did he become king? How does he have 4 arms and eyes? The list of questions goes on and on. And don't worry, we will be answering all of them by the end of this video if you watch it entirely. So let's get started. Welcome back everyone, and it's time to go balls deep. And when I mean balls deep, I mean talking about the lore, history, and real life concepts the author of Jujutsu Kaisen used to create Sukuna's character. Okay, so right off the bat, let's start with what makes Sukuna the king of curses and respected by special grade curses like Jogo, feared by Jujutsu sorcerers and curse users. In the Heian era, Sukuna was feared by everyone, even being prayed to, offered sacrifices, and the Imperials were forced to have a peaceful relationship with him.
Sensational.
In chapter 219, we see Gege's inspiration for Ryumen Sukuna's character manifest from Japanese mythology, as he was known as a deity in real life too. In the same way, Sukuna in Jujutsu Kaisen's Heian era is also worshipped by humans to pacify him, whilst ironically referring to him as a monster at the same time. This was in order to not attract devastation at his hand. The villagers offered Sukuna sacrifices and meals. Funnily enough, people were also praying to him for a bountiful harvest of rice. Therefore, it's clear that Sukuna's god complex over the course of Jujutsu Kaisen isn't ill-founded, and he ruled over everyone freely by becoming the epitome of power in that prime era. This is depicted with chapter 219 declaring that he killed the 5 generals of the Fujiwara clan, which we know in fact were the ruling clan and the emperors of that time. The story itself referred to Sukuna holding the rightful title throughout the heaven and earth. He alone is the honored one. Sukuna is 1,000 years old, but even sorcerers from 400 years ago seek him out to understand the mystery for themselves. The lore we were given in chapter 3 describes Sukuna's clash with Jujutsu sorcerers 1,000 years ago in the Golden Age. So of course, you're wondering, what could we possibly talk about to expand upon his title of king? Ryumen Sukuna, otherwise known as the Two-Faced Spectre in Japanese mythology, is one of the most mysterious mythological deities described in the Nihon Shoki Chronicles of Japan. The Nihon Shoki is a Japanese history book created during the Nara period of Japan, and it's also the oldest existing history book in Japan. This text is where the oldest information of Sukuna exists, and is the book that Gege Akutami used for inspiration to create his character. In the official Jujutsu Kaisen fanbook, Gege Akutami mentioned that Sukuna resembles and is powerful like the Sukuna from the Japanese lore. The evidence for this can be specifically seen in Sukuna's design from chapter 117. The Sukuna of Jujutsu Kaisen holds many similarities to the ancient statues created for the mythological version. Take a look. Look at that shit. Yeah! I'm not kidding. So back to the Nihon Shoki. It is said that Sukuna was quick-witted and had super strength, which is just like our Sukuna in Jujutsu Kaisen. The Ryomen Sukuna of ancient Japan was called the benefactor of the Hida province and was worshipped by the people. The Nihon Shoki described Sukuna as an evil being, an enemy of the emperor, but the people of the Hida and Mino provinces worshipped him as a savior. Specifically, the people regarded him as a kaiki, a patron of a temple, aka a founder. According to the rumor, one of the temples that the mythological Sukuna founded is called the Senkoji Temple, located in Kyoto City. This would explain why the Sukuna in Jujutsu Kaisen has a domain expansion which summons a divine shrine and a temple. When looking at the original Japanese text of his domain expansion, it translates to demonic territory and also somewhere a king would go to eat, which surprisingly, Sukuna's #1 hobby is eating according to the author, and his technique of dismantle and cleave is to butcher something. This is a very important clue to the nature of Sukuna's power. Now going back to the definition of the Japanese text of his domain expansion, a feretory is an ornate, often portable bier for the relics of a saint, or in other words, a shrine to keep relics for saints. So no matter how you translate it, both names correlate to a shrine used for evil spirits or curses. In chapter 220, Kenjaku unveils Sukuna's corpse. This is done via Soken Shibutsu, a real-life Buddhist type of mummy stored inside Tengen's barriers. However, in chapter 222, we have another huge revelation. It was not actually Sukuna himself who turned his body into a mummy. Sukuna states that it was Tengen in the Heian era who did this and calls it an irony. Now remember guys, it is stated explicitly that the sorcerers of that era never defeated Sukuna, meaning he instead died of natural causes. Now to enjoy more peak fiction, why not watch the video on your screen right now regarding Boruto's time skip? It has finally started.